G'day Bomber fans, it is trade update time. We have Jake Stringer news, we've got some cheeky updates on a target or two, we have a 2025 free agency news, a bit to get through today, so I'm not going to be going through all our rumours, just the ones that have eventuated in the last day or two. So let's get into it, let's talk some trade news. Jake Stringer, there's a few updates here. So first up, we have some clarity surrounding the situation, or I guess the reason why Collingwood said no, because remember they were the first club linked to Stringer. So they apparently liked his character, they liked Stringer as a person. There were a few reasons why they ultimately lost interest though, one of which was tied to the people that he hangs around with, the friends he has outside of the club, and that ties into the AFL Integrity Unit contacting Essendon to warn them about the people that the club lets into the rooms after games, and those people are friends with Nick Hind and Jake Stringer. I made a video about this a while ago, so that is a concern, and it could be an issue for Stringer finding a new home if that arises again. Speaking of new home though, GWS are now confirmed to be interested in Jake Stringer. This is after they had a straight sets exit in the final series. It was a disappointing end to an otherwise good year. They want to get better for a premiership push. They're in the hunt, and there is a link there with Jason McCartney, who helped bring Stringer to the Bulldogs all those years ago as a junior, so he's likely going to go into bat for him. Now, they are right now doing checks into Stringer, background checks. They may speak to him or his management. We don't know how advanced this interest is right now because the Giants currently have about 90 other deals to get through. They're still yet to find out the likely compensation for Harry Perryman and Isaac Cumming, who are both leaving. They're trying to keep James Peatling on their books. Wade Dirksen is set to leave, so they have a lot on their plate right now. If a deal for Stringer was to come into fruition, it would likely be later into the trade period, or at least the moving pieces would come together later. It's still very early into this one, and also we don't know if Stringer is keen on leaving Victoria yet. He wants job security and more money, 2 years instead of one that we have on offer for him, but he also has a young family, young kids. He's been in Melbourne his whole life, I believe. He may not want to leave to New South Wales. That could well be a factor here. And speaking of New South Wales, Sydney aren't yet ruled out of this one. We'll start to find out about their targets pretty soon. They'll want to get better fast for that premiership push as well. That forward line was shocking on grand final day. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them keep their interest and approach him at some stage. There is, of course, also the possibility that Stringer stays with the club. Plenty think that could still happen despite Stringer saying he's played his last game with the club. So there's a lot to still go on here, but you're seeing more players come into this trade talks. All right, so the other big news from the last couple of days is actually not really anything we haven't already heard this year, and I did cover this in a trade update from earlier in the season when Cal Toomey first mentioned this, but he's come out yesterday along with his list of free agents for next year, which I'll talk about later in this video. But he's come out and said that the Adelaide Crows will be coming hard for Sam Draper next year. Draper is a South Aussie. The Crows need a first team ruck to replace the ageing O'Brien. This is not anything to worry about or focus on this year. The club will not be listening to offers this year. The Crows won't be offering up picks, but next year when Draper is a free agent, the Crows will be coming hard for him. In fact, Toomey kind of hinted that the Crows have maybe already started putting in that work already. Maybe a cheeky slide into his DMs or a phone call or a player getting in touch with him. We've seen this happen a bit. Rosie was a reason for Lukosius coming across. All it takes sometimes is a mate at the club to change the course of a player's career, change their player's mind. Draper does like life at Essendon. Essendon like life with Draper. He said he wants to stay with the club long term, but as we've seen this year, that doesn't mean a lot. Houston said he was staying with Port Adelaide a fortnight or 3 weeks ago, and now he's requested a trade. Words are cheap in this industry, so watch this space for 2025. This is going to be talked about a lot next year, and it seems the Crows could already be laying the groundwork for a potential deal. But for those who will throw in the comments about what we could get in a trade now, save your breath or your fingers. Nothing's going to happen this year. And for those who want something to happen this year, it would mean we bruck the year with Todd Goldstein, so just keep that in mind. Alright, Jaxon Prior, we have apparently met with him. I didn't hear this anywhere. I was told that Cal Toomey said this on Trade Radio yesterday, so we've apparently met with Jaxon Prior as we look for reinforcements for cheap in the back half, and the cheap aspect there is the big point of this deal. We're probably going to try and sign Prior if he's delisted by Brisbane. The Lions are yet to get through their first batch of delistings. Prior's future is uncertain there. The free agency period opens on Friday, so the Lions will probably delist someone, maybe a couple of players before Friday, and if not, maybe early next week. Clubs like to have list spots available early into these periods just in case something opens up. It gives them more clarity as to what they can and can't do. So there is every chance Prior is delisted by Brisbane and available for us to pick him up as a delisted free agent for free. But if he signs on, I doubt we come for him. I think this one is only going to get done if he's delisted by the Lions. If he is free, we may as well get him. We need defenders. He's young, he's unproven, he's struggling to break into the best team in the league. I like the idea of prying away young, unproven players from teams like Brisbane who can't justify giving these guys game time because they're just too good of a team. So there's a bit to play out here. If he is delisted, don't be surprised to see us add him to the list. And honestly, I wouldn't mind it. It would be nothing to be excited about. He wouldn't bring us a flag, but you may as well bolster depth with a guy like Prior, who's a bit of an unknown at AFL level. I get the feeling we'll be talking about him a fair bit in the next 2 or 3 days. Alright, now touching on this real quick, because I want to make a video about it. I probably will make a video about it, who knows when. I think part of the reason why we are inactive this year is because of next year's list of free agents and gettable players, and how large it is, and the amount of talent involved. We, as a club, want free agents. We were keen on Zerha, we were keen on Ainsworth, they signed on. But this year, apart from those guys, it's a shocking year for free agents. It's why Perryman, a handy player, a good player, is being offered obscene amounts of money, more money than Zach Merritt earns, I believe. It's because there isn't really much more outside of Perryman and these other guys. So here are some names, a few I want to highlight for next year when we could be involved. We could be saving up money for these guys. Luke Davies-Uniacke, we are said to be interested in him for next year, and there are links with Brad Scott, Ben Mackay, Todd Goldstein, some members of the coaching staff. Cam Rayner was an Essendon fan growing up. He's a dynamic player, Victorian obviously. There'll be clubs interested there. Ed Richards could be a genuine star at a new club away from Bontempelli and Treloar. There are some really good players that could be available next year. I'm not going to go through all the ones on screen now. Obviously, this list will also dwindle down over time as well. A lot of these guys will sign on, but there are plenty hanging around early that the club could apparently be keen on, according to quite a few in the media. So this could be a big reason why we pulled out of the Perryman bidding war early on. Also keep in mind, Harley Reid, that news is only going to get bigger and bigger with every year that he gets close to the end of his contract. So there is a lot here for 2025 to get keen for. I'll post a video about it at some stage, maybe soon, maybe not, who knows. And real quick before I go, there's a couple of rumours circling around on Twitter. Now, this time of the year is hilarious for the Twitter journos. You could have about 10 followers and post twice a year, but if you come out saying Koning to Essendon, people will believe you. And that's what's happened here. Well, maybe not, Matt. You never know. There could be substance to these rumours, but this is news that just hasn't been properly confirmed yet. I believe someone on Twitter came out saying Essendon are keen on Koning. I looked into a few of the earlier tweets that they did to see if there was any credibility to the accounts, and big shock, there was absolutely nothing there that makes me think they're doing anything other than trying to rile up fans and get us keen for trades that won't happen. Dan Hanbury did say that Koning was potentially gettable, but I would be willing to bet quite a lot of money that he stays put, and if he doesn't, he won't be going to Essendon. There's no chance we get enough to Geelong to tempt them to send us a promising young player like Koning, and if we do, it means we lose our draft hand. It just won't happen. I could be proven wrong, but I just haven't seen any credible information here. Sam De Koning is being linked with just about every team by their own fans. If anything comes out, it'll be on my next trade update, but I wouldn't even look into this. And that is all. Quick trade update. Free agency period opens on Friday. Trade period on Monday. Still plenty left to unfold for us. I'm sure there will be many more updates to come. Let me know down below what you think about some of these pieces of news. Give me any trade updates you have heard, and I might include them in a future video if there is anything there. Also, let me know if there are any videos you would like to hear or see. That is all for now, though. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the trade news of the club. Like if you enjoyed, and as always, go Bombers.